Saitama throws the punch that has never missed, and for the first time in his life, it stops, frozen, inches away. Something is holding it back. How? Who is this man? And is this the moment Saitama finally loses? Freeze it right there, because to understand how we got here, we have to go back to the beginning. One of these men has never lost a fight. He wins in a single punch, and he's usually bored while doing it. The other has an infinite defense. You cannot touch him. Physics itself refuses to let you land a hit. So here's the problem. When an unstoppable punch meets an untouchable wall, one of them has to be lying. And there's a loophole hidden inside that word, untouchable, that most people completely miss. Hold on to it, because when we come back to it, it changes everything. This is Saitama versus Gojo. Not the hype version. The real version. Before we throw these two into an arena, we have to set one thing straight, and this rule is exactly why most people get this fight completely wrong. Both fighters are at full strength. Neither has prior knowledge of the other, because that's how a real first encounter actually goes. Standard battlefield. No outside help. And here's the mindset for the rest of this video. We're not asking who's the better character. We're asking who wins the fight, because power on paper and victory in combat don't always agree. Keep that in mind. It's about to matter more than you think. Let's start with Gojo Satoru, because he has the one thing that should make this fight impossible for Saitama. Gojo cannot be touched. Not hard to hit. Cannot be touched. His defense is called infinity. And here's the terrifying part, it doesn't block a punch. It slows it down. Anything coming at Gojo has to cross an endless series of smaller and smaller distances, so it moves slower and slower until it just freezes, never lands. And this exact ability is why Saitama might be the first person alive to break it. Because think about it, a man whose entire identity is the punch that always connects, versus the one wall built to make punches meaningless. Hold that. It's the whole video. But here's the problem for Saitama. Gojo doesn't even think about infinity. His six eyes run it automatically, for free, even while he's unconscious. So you can't wait for him to drop his guard. There is no guard to drop. And this is where it gets worse, because Gojo isn't just defense. Blue crushes you by pulling space together. Red blasts you apart, and slam those two into each other. Hollow purple, an attack that doesn't destroy what's in its path, it erases it. One shot once tore several kilometers through a straight line. Saitama can't punch what's firing at him from a mile away. But none of that is his real trump card. Unlimited void floods your brain with infinite information at once. Every sight, every sound, every sensation in existence, all at the same time. You freeze, experiencing everything, able to do nothing. Fight over in seconds. No punch thrown. So here's Gojo's case. He can't be touched. He can hit from kilometers away, and he can freeze your mind before you swing. On paper, Saitama loses this badly, which is exactly what people said about every villain Saitama has ever faced. Now let's talk about Saitama. And the challenge with Saitama is the opposite of Gojo. Gojo is complicated. Saitama is simple, almost insultingly simple. And that simplicity is the whole terror of him. Saitama has no cursed energy, no special technique, no secret system. He trained 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run every single day until something in him just broke past the ceiling of what a living thing is supposed to be able to do. And here's the thing the anime never fully explains, which is kind of the point. We've never seen his limit. Not once. Every fight, he wins in one punch, and it's never even close. He punched a being with the power to wipe out an entire city and ended it instantly. He's traded blows that generated shockwaves visible from space. He got launched to the moon, and jumped back to Earth using the force of a single leap. His durability matches his strength. Attacks that vaporize mountains barely leave a scratch. And his speed, despite how lazy he looks, is casually, absurdly beyond human. He blitzes opponents who move faster than the eye can follow, and to him, they look like they're standing still. But here's what actually makes Saitama dangerous in this fight specifically. It's not the strength, it's the mind. Saitama doesn't panic. He doesn't get impressed. He doesn't respect his opponent's power enough to be careful, and against most fighters, that's arrogance. Against a fighter whose whole strategy depends on fear and hesitation, it might be the perfect counter. Hold that thought too, because now, we finally come back to the loophole I promised you. Okay. Unstoppable punch. Untouchable wall. Let's actually run it. Round 1. First encounter. Gojo doesn't know who Saitama is. To Gojo, this is just some bald guy in a yellow suit. So Gojo does what Gojo always does, he stays relaxed, infinity passively up, completely safe. Saitama walks up, and throws a normal punch. And now we're back at that opening image, the fist, frozen inches from Gojo's face. Because infinity should stop it. The punch should slow, and freeze in that infinite space, and never land. But here's the loophole. Here's the detail I told you to hold onto. Infinity works by dividing distance infinitely. It's a mathematical defense. It assumes the attacker is playing by the normal rules of speed and force. Saitama has, on multiple occasions, punched through things that logically should have been impossible to punch through. He's broken effects that were conceptual, not just physical. His power isn't described by a number. It's a narrative constant. He wins. His entire character is built on the idea that no defense has ever held. So we have a genuine paradox, an unstoppable force whose defining trait is that nothing stops him, versus an immovable object whose defining trait is that nothing gets through. Now, does Saitama's first punch break infinity? Honestly, probably not instantly. Realistically, that first casual punch slows and stalls, just like everything else. And for a moment, Gojo is winning. But here's where the fight turns. Because Saitama doesn't get scared, he gets interested. And a serious Saitama is a completely different animal. Picture it. The second punch isn't casual. Saitama plants his feet, and this one carries the same force that split a meteor the size of a mountain in half. Now infinity has to slow down not a man's arm, but an attack that operates outside what the math was ever built to hold. Does the paradox stretch far enough? Or does it finally, for the first time in the series, crack? Meanwhile, Gojo realizes his passive defense isn't ending this, so he escalates blue, red, ranged attacks to create distance. And this is Gojo's real advantage that people forget. He doesn't need to touch Saitama. He can attack from kilometers away with hollow purple. He can drop unlimited void and try to free Saitama's mind before the physical fight even matters, but here's the catch nobody talks about. Unlimited void works by overwhelming a mind with infinite information. It assumes the target's mind can be overwhelmed. And Saitama? This is a man so mentally flat that he zoned out mid-apocalypse, thinking about a supermarket sale. What happens when infinite information hits a mind that simply doesn't care? Nobody knows. And that uncertainty is the whole fight. So it splits into two questions. Can Gojo's domain trap a mind as unshakable as Saitama's? And can Saitama's escalating strength overwhelm a defense never once tested by someone like him? Here's the honest answer. And I'm not going to cop out on you. Under standard rules, first meeting, no prep, Gojo playing smart, Gojo wins the majority of the time. Because Saitama's weakness has never been his body. It's his engagement. He starts every fight bored. So if Gojo opens with unlimited void immediately, before Saitama decides to care, he locks that mind down in the opening seconds. And a frozen Saitama can't punch anything. Gojo's ranged, mind-targeting kid is the worst possible matchup for a guy who wins by walking up and swinging. That's the fair fight. Gojo takes it. But, here's the loophole paying off, there's one version Gojo cannot win. If Saitama gets serious first, the moment Saitama decides this opponent is worth a real punch, we stop talking about physics. We're talking about a character whose punch has never once failed to land. And infinity? Just another wall. And every wall in front of Saitama has broken. So the answer isn't a name, it's a condition. Gojo wins the fight of strategy. Saitama wins the fight of seriousness. This fight isn't decided by power. It's decided by who forces reality to break first. The untouchable man who gets to think, or the unstoppable man who gets to swing. I told you one of them had to be lying. Turns out, neither is. They're both telling the truth. The fight just can't let both exist at once. So it's on you. Serious Saitama, or smart Gojo. Drop your verdict below. The sharpest argument goes into the next video, with your name on it. And there's one fighter Saitama can't punch through, and it's not who you think. It's on screen right now. Go.